Hi and welcome back. In this video I want to go ahead and show you how to set up the featured content slider on the services page. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my finished project here, and I'm on my services page, and if I scroll down here you can see here's our featured content slider. And you can see what this is going to do is it's going to cycle through a series of pictures and information. And it's also going to give you the opportunity to click on a link right over here to go to a different page. So for example, I'm on the dining rooms tab right now. I can click right here and go to that particular page. Or if I was on the family room page, I could click there and go to that page. So this is a really easy to set up tool that will add some interaction and some interest to your page. Now, if you've downloaded the exercise files for this project or the framework, this tool is included with that framework. If not, you can go to Google and search for featured content slider and look one up and pick it and use that. There are dozens and dozens of these featured content sliders in existence. They're all set up a little bit differently. The one that I use is very easy to set up, and that's basically the reason why I use it. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to come back into my Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go ahead and go into my framework. And inside of my framework, you're going to see I've got my JavaScript folder, my JS folder, and there's the plugins folder right there. And here is the featured content slider. I'm going to go ahead and expand that, and there's a number of items that you need to copy over into your site in order for this to work. The first one is the jQuery plugin. Now, if you need jQuery, you can go to jquery.com and download this. In the case of what we're doing here, if you're already using the framework, this is already included in the framework. And actually, I'll jump over here into our project, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the template and go into code view, and you can see here I already have a link set up to jQuery. And again, if you're not using the exercise files, you'll need to go ahead and place this line of code in your template file, and you'll need to download that jQuery file and put it in your JavaScript folder. But again, the framework already has all these for you. I'm going to go ahead and come back into my framework, and here we are back in the featured content slider. So once you've added jQuery and created a link for it, the next thing you need to do is you need to copy the tool and the CSS file for this tool and paste them into your site. And I can do that simply by clicking on one, holding the Control key down on the keyboard with my left hand, and clicking on the second one. If you're on a Mac, you're going to hold down the Command key instead of the Control key. Well, once they're both selected, you can right-click on either one, select Edit, and Copy. You can then go into your project, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste those into my JavaScript folder. So I'm going to right-click on I'm going to right-click on my JS folder, Edit, and Paste. And now that featured CSS and featured JavaScript are in that folder. And obviously we're going to want to take this CSS file and move it into our CSS folder. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that up there and confirm yes, I do wish to update it. So now I've got featured CSS and featured list.js in their proper folders. I'm going to switch back into my framework, and now we need to go ahead and copy all of these images over. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about what these images are. The featured tab current, all that is this box right here with the arrow on it. That's the image for there. The images that appear right here that you rotate through are the sample 1, 2, and 3 images. And then again, you can use any images you want for this. I just named them sample 1, 2, and 3 to make it easy. The only thing that you need to make sure of is that these images need to be 460 pixels wide by 240 pixels tall. So they need to be sized exactly to 460 by 240. Finally, we have icon 1, 2, and 3 here. And if I look at my completed page, in my case, I'm just using these colored squares for my icons. But those could be pictures, they could be whatever you want. And again, the only restriction here is the size. This icon needs to be 32 pixels by 32 pixels. And again, that's a very common icon size. So you shouldn't have any trouble finding or making icons for that. So again, I'm going to come back into my framework, and I'm going to click the first item in my images folder, hold down the Shift key, and click the last item, and that selects all of them. I can then right-click, edit, and copy those images. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into my project folder, and I'm going to right-click on images, go to edit, and select paste to paste all of those images into my folder. And again, sample 1, 2, and 3 here is the actual photo or image that's going to be displayed. Icon 1, 2, and 3 are the little box shapes over here to the left. And again, those could be replaced with whatever you want. So now we've gone ahead and we've copied all the files over into our project that we need. But I need to actually do one more thing. I'm going to collapse the images folder here so I can see more. And I'm going to come back into my framework. And here's the featured content slider folder. At the very bottom, there's featured content instructions. I'm going to go ahead and open that on up because this is going to contain all of the instructions that we need to set that up. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back into my site, and I'm going to open up the services page so we can begin to work on it. Now, the first step in this is to add the jQuery plugin to the head section of your document. And again, if you're using the framework or the exercise files, you're going to see that link has already been established right there. If not, you'll need to download jQuery from jquery.com and put it in your JavaScript folder and copy this link over. And this should probably be the first or one of the very first things in your head section. It definitely needs to come before the rest of the code that we're going to add. And that's the reason why I have it first here. Now, the second step is to add these scripts and CSS file to the head section of your document. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of this. Everything from the opening script tag here that loads the plugin all the way down to this closing script. And that includes this style sheet right here. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on that and copy it. And now I'm going to come into services, and notice that this area is all grayed out, and that's because that's part of the template, part of the things that affect all of the pages. Well, we don't need the featured content slider on all of our pages. We just want it on this one services page. And that's what this section down here is for. There's an editable region in your head section. So at the end of the title tag, you're going to want to click and hit enter a few times just to give yourself some more space. And I'm going to go ahead and paste the code that we need right in here. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and paste. And there's the script, and there's the CSS file. And if you pasted the JavaScript file into your JS folder and your featured CSS file into your CSS folder, this will be set up perfectly for you. So just make sure you copied the JavaScript file into the JS folder and the CSS file into the CSS folder. And again, we did that as one of our first steps. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and again go back into my instructions. And then the last thing you need to do is you need to copy this code into the body of your page where you want the featured content slider to appear. And there's a little note here. Your images, again, must be exactly 460 pixels wide by 240 pixels tall. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of that code, and I'm going to right-click and copy it. And then I'm going to come back into my services page. Now, if I go to the design view here, I want this featured content area to come in between the first and second paragraphs here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click at the end of this first paragraph and just hit enter. And I'm going to go ahead and type just slider right there. And what that allows me to do is when I come back into the code section, there's that paragraph. So I know exactly where to paste the code that I just copied. I'm going to hit enter a few times to move myself down. And I'm going to paste that code right here. Just like that. And you can see the div that this content slider is going to be inside of is one called featured. Now, first two lines here, featured services, and the paragraph here that just has some filler text in it. I'm going to go ahead and open this up inside of Chrome, and you're going to see featured services right here, and then this paragraph. So to modify the title or this text here, all you have to do is modify this line and this line. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and say featured shears design services. And you could put any text you want into these areas. And I'll save that. Let's take a look at this again. I need to refresh my page, but now you can see that's been modified. Now, the next thing I want you to notice is that there are 3 tabs right here. One for living room, one for dining room, one for family room. Each tab has its own image, and each tab also has a link over here that will take you to another page. Finally, there's an icon right here, which in this case is just a colored in box. But keep in mind that there are 3 items here and 3 images that go with those items. Now, when I look at the code that we've pasted in here, you're going to see a UL here that goes all the way down here, and you're going to see a second UL, second unordered list, that goes all the way down, that goes all the way to here. And you're going to see within those unordered lists, I have 1, 2, 3 list items. These first 3 list items correspond to the information on the left-hand side of the featured content slider. There's an image, a heading, and a piece of text. And again, when we look at our finished project here, we have an image, a headline, and a piece of text. So all you have to do to modify this is to come in here and put a new image in, change the title right here, and add the text that you want right here. Couldn't be simpler. The only thing that you need to remember here is that this image right here needs to be 32 pixels by 32 pixels. As far as these two here go, the only thing you have to remember for your heading and your text is that, let me go ahead and go into our finished version here, is that you only have so much room here. and I don't want to go off into my image. So this is just for a short heading and a short piece of text. Now, coming back into our page, we have our second list with our second 3 list items here. List item here, list item here, list item here. And you can see in the list item there are 3 things: an image, a hyperlink, and some text. An image, a hyperlink, and some text. When we look at our finished project, this is the image that appears, this is the text that appears, and the link is wherever you go when you click on that. So you could very easily come in here and add your own image in just by putting the path to your image in there. You can change the text on the link box, and you can add a link. Now in this case, the links are just these number signs right here. And that's basically because the page for living rooms, dining rooms, and family rooms, those pages have not been created yet. If I look over here in my files, you're going to see, let me go ahead and collapse that. You're going to see we just have our main pages right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click up here and say New File, and I'm going to do Living. Right click right up here and do New File, Dining.html. Right click here and do New File and do Family.html. To change the image, you just go ahead and highlight all this, type a quotation mark, and hit enter and go search for your file. The same thing is true for your hyperlink. All I need to do is highlight that hyperlink, including the quotation marks, type another quotation mark, and hit enter when the browse appears. And at this point, I can go ahead and select the living room option. OK, and then the URL is pasted in there. I'll highlight this right here, type a quotation mark, and when that little browse appears, I press enter, and I can come in here and select a page for it to go to, in this case dining. And then I can go ahead and highlight this here and do the last one for family room. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And again, you could modify the text for the link right here. So now that we've sort of got this set up, let's go ahead and view our page and let's see what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead here and preview in Chrome. And here is our completed page. And here we go with our featured content slider. You can see it going through these different options. And when I click the link right over here, it's going to go to the appropriate page. In this case, living.html. Now, why is this page blank? The reason for that is when I created those files over here, I just created them. I didn't actually apply a template to them. So at this point, I want to go back and open the dining room page, go to Modify, Templates, Apply Template to Page, and apply the full width page. And when I look at this in Design View, you'll see it now has some content. I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 images, and I'm going to give this a different title. And I'm just going to type Shears Design Dining Rooms and save that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for family rooms. Again, nothing here, so I need to go to Modify Templates, Apply Template to Page, and do the full width layout. And then I can go ahead and highlight this and Shears Design Family Rooms. And again, I'm going to go ahead and delete these images there because we won't need them. And then finally, I'll do my living room here. Again, the page is blank, but I can go to Modify, Templates, Apply Template to Page, select the full width layout, and there I have this page. So I can go Shears Design Living Rooms. Not ROMs, rooms. There we go. And I'll delete those two images right there. And let's go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to bring up my page again here. Go back. I'm on my services page. And you may need to refresh this page. But when I click on living rooms, it now goes to, or dining rooms, it now goes to the appropriate page. Family rooms goes right there. So you can see how very easy it is to set up this featured content slider. Now, styling this is also very easy. I want you to notice that we've got quite a bit of space up here. We may want to correct that, and same thing down here. There's a border around this entire area, and you can see it's centered on the page, and it has about 20 pixels of padding on the interior. If we go back into Dreamweaver, and I'm going to close those other pages until I'm back in services, and we go into feature.css, here are the settings that you're probably going to want to modify. The first is going to be the width of the entire featured content area. And right now you can see it's set for 750. And again, that's 750 from border to border right here. You're also going to notice that we have some margin and some padding. In this case, the margin is 50 pixels top and bottom, and auto for left and right. And that means that there'll be 50 pixels at the top, 50 pixels at the bottom, and auto will center the div in on the page. So I can come back in here and I could change the margin to 20. And I'm going to change auto to 0. And I'll save that. Go back into my page in Google or in Chrome. When I refresh, you'll see that that now is flush to the left instead of being centered. And we've also cut down the amount of space on the top and the bottom. If you wanted this border to extend out all the way, you would just need to change the width of the design, which again is right here. If I was to make this 850, you'll see the change when I refresh my page. And there we go, like that. But you are also going to notice that sometimes that messes things up. Now this paragraph is closer here because the text isn't wrapping. And you just got to kind of play around with this. You can format this content any way you want. Any way you want at all. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to make this a little bit smaller to get that spacing back in there. We'll go ahead and return that to 750. And you're probably going to want it smaller on most of your pages, because that way you can have some space over here to put a right-hand sidebar. And again, there's probably not enough room here because I'm only doing a 900 pixel layout. But you see the way you would adjust the width and the spacing and all of that good stuff. And again, if you come in here to the CSS style sheet, we should have done enough with styling that you can kind of figure out what's what in here. You know, for instance, we've got the H3 tag. We've got the H3 tag in a link. We've got color here. You know, these are all settings for the text that's in here. And if I go ahead and scroll on down to the bottom, you can see here's where we set the width and the height of the images. You can easily change this to being a little bit different. If my image was like 480, no problem changing that. What you should not do is you should not modify the height here, because the height is based on having 3 different sections. If you want more sections, you can definitely add those to this featured content slider. You could have 20 things that it cycles through if you wanted to. But that's beyond the scope of this video. So that in a nutshell is how we add this featured design services, this featured content slider to our page. Very easy to set up. That's actually the reason why I use this one here, is because it is so very easy to set up and format. You don't have to do a lot. So that's what we're doing in this video. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and set up an image gallery. So the next video, we're going to actually go ahead and I'm going to go to my finished project here. And on the dining rooms page, we're going to create this gallery. And this gallery, you can see, has 5 thumbnails in it. The gallery can hold an unlimited number of thumbnails, though. You could have 20, 30, 50, 100 if you wanted to. And when you click on a thumbnail, you're going to see that the full image is displayed. And this is actually called a light box. A light box. In this case, this light box is, again, very easy to set up and configure. It's got a number of features like previous and next to take you back and forth through the photos. A close button in the lower right-hand corner. And probably most important, you can set the caption text for every individual photo. And again, we'll show you how to set all that up. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do in the next video. I'll see you then.